cold.
I'm pretty sure you've figured out I'm not in France any longer. That's the New York skyline, and I've arrived in Connecticut at my mother's house with a very special delivery, our daughters. They'll be staying here for a while. Between them both finishing school, important exams, driver's licenses, plus as we enter full construction mode at the Chateau, it just made sense. One daughter is wrapping up her final year, the other has AP exams looming. And since their school is based in New York, it felt like a nice change of pace for them. And for the record, this was their suggestion. No coercion was involved. This weather sucks. Friends and family keep telling me that grocery prices in the US have skyrocketed. So I decided to see for myself how they compare to France. Naturally, I deployed Lincoln to Leclerc, the store we shop at the most, on a covert mission to investigate baguette pricing and other vital provisions. Meanwhile, I was posted at the local Grade A, which is part of a bigger chain called ShopRite. We compared similar items. Okay, so what does this tell us? I don't know. I'm not an economist. But I do know, having lived in both countries, on a whole, the cost of living is much less in France.
I'm in the kitchen and I need to do some things before I can do our demo. And Amanda and the kids are in the US right now, so I'm home alone. And I can turn the water off without hearing anything about it. This pipe here, which comes from over under the sink here, goes all the way through the wall, used to go up the wall on the other side and into the bathroom upstairs. And that was delivering hot water. We capped it off on the other side of the wall there just to get out of the way. Now I need to remove it completely because I know doing whatever here, I'm about to break it and then we'd have water all over the place. And also this monstrosity is the cold water supply. And you can see that the white pipe that I ran, that replaced the lead pipe that was in there, which we weren't aware of, but there was still a lead pipe in the house. So that's gone. This little contraption here is part of a cabinet that I just left standing because it had the water connection for the clothes washer. And there's, the drain for the clothes washer. We have another set of those over here in the corner because they were used by the dishwasher. I'm going to get rid of all of this copper and I need to disconnect the new pipe from the old stuff. Hopefully too much won't come out. And then connect it over here under the sink. And this will all be bypassed. I can pull it out. And this monstrosity here is an assortment of connections that I had on hand that would adapt this to that. It didn't leak, so I just went with it. If you see this cap here, that's the hot water I capped off yesterday. And that was what led to that pipe that goes across the wall. So that's good. But now I need to connect this, which is the cold water coming in, to this copper pipe. here, wherever, someplace where it's out of the way. And I bought a bunch of connectors to see what would work best. You can see this one, these are great. They're push-on connectors. They work with all 3 different pipes, so I could even use it on these. This would be the easiest if I can make it work, because it's a push-on both sides. The multi-layer pipe can go in that side, that's 16 millimeter, and then the copper can go in that side. And I also need to use this adapter on this end. It pushes into the pipe to keep it from collapsing. That's pretty clean. I'm thinking here is probably the spot because this is anchored to the wall. Okay, so I no longer need this copper. So I'm just going to cut it off out here. And water. I'll try cutting the copper over here, see if I can get a clean enough cut. And now I need to pick an appropriate length for this. This is going away anyway, so I'll be able to get it closer to the corner. So I think that's done. Now I need to turn the water back on and see if it leaks. Take a look at this. Previous owner swore by using the well water on the property. The water around here is really hard, full of metals, clearly. Looks like rust. And that's what came out of the pipe. Because even though we've been pumping regular water through them for 5 or 6 years, there's still a whole bunch of that crap in the pipes. Glad to get rid of it. Copper pipe's all gone now. Last thing I need to do is remove this drain there, which was for the clothes washer. I'm going to cut it off right under there and connect the clothes washer to the one that was formerly for the dishwasher. And then there's a tap for the dishwasher also. So then I'll be able to get rid of all of this and get it out of the way. But first I need to go feed our menagerie of animals.
We recently lost our cat Mimi. She was a barn cat left behind by the previous owner. And over time, she became one of my closest animal companions. We spent hours together in the walled garden. So when Creality reached out to sponsor a video featuring their Falcon 2 Pro laser engraver, it felt like the right opportunity to create a plaque for Mimi that we could put in the walled garden. It would sort of be a small, permanent way to remember her. Now, Creality is best known for their 3D printers, but they've been refining their laser engravers for a long time too, and the Falcon 2 Pro really shows that. So this is a fully enclosed machine with a deep red transparent cover, and there's no need to worry about stray laser light, so you can look at it comfortably while the work is happening. And one of my favorite features is the built-in top camera. So instead of guessing where your design lands, you get a real-time preview. And with the 40-watt module, this machine has plenty of cutting power, so even thick wood cuts cleanly in one pass. So for the plaque itself, I'm switching to the included 1.6 laser module that ships with the 40-watt version. It's perfect for fine engraving, especially for delicate lettering and small details. What I appreciate the most is how much thought has gone into safety. The Falcon 2 Pro has triple intelligence monitoring, flame and debris detection, warning indicator lights, and a one-button emergency stop. There's also a built-in fan and air purification system with integrated air assist that keeps cuts clean and smoke under control, which is super important. It's a kind of machine that lets you focus on what you're making and not what might go wrong. There's also a drawer at the bottom, which sounds kind of boring until you've cleaned soot out of places soot should never be. The controls are really accessible, and the enclosure keeps noise and mess contained, and everything else feels really well thought out. There's so many creative uses for this engraver alongside making something meaningful. beautiful. We also had a bit of fun. Also made a little etching of Mimi. So whether you're making something personal, like our sweet little plaque here for Mimi, maybe you're producing items to sell, the Falcon 2 Pro makes the process feel steady and doable and never intimidating. So really did a good job on the slate. I think it looks fantastic. For us, it's a quiet way to mark a meaningful chapter of life here, and Mimi would absolutely approve. Thanks again to Creality for sponsoring today's video. So my mom is concerned about the birds because their little bird seed tray has been covered up. So I need to uncover it for her. And I think we're out of bird seed. So we looked it up. Grapes are fine for squirrels and birds. You just, in moderation. You got to cut them up too. She has some walnuts and it's all good. All right, now we wait and see who shows up. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. I'm going home to an empty house. It was really great to see family and friends and eat all the snacks and pizza. I'm still adjusting to life back here. It sort of felt like I was gone for a few months. So while I was gone, you happened to have a dental emergency.
Yes.
And you called me and you said, oh, by the way, a couple days ago, I had a problem with my tooth. I'm like, what? His front tooth cracked. I said, go to the private hospital right now. You had to go to the emergency room.
And they luckily sent me to a dental surgeon that could help me.
Lincoln can't speak.
Not very well.
Not very well. So you're like, can't even smile.
My front tooth.
While I was in the US, I happened to look up our daughter's medication. Mm-hmm. She has an autoimmune disease. This is what we'd have to pay in the US without insurance. The number was sobering. In France, we pay nothing. Now, while we were living in the US, you had health insurance, so that was covered. We still had to pay.
You still had to pay co-pays for everything.
Co-pays, plus you had to actually pay for part of your insurance.
Oh, right, and it wasn't cheap.
And how much was that a month? This was back
This
8
was-
years ago, 7
Yeah,
years ago.
I think it was probably about 12 to 1500.
For the whole family, which at the time seemed like a pretty good deal to us.
Well, considering, I mean, I worked in that area for the employer, so I knew that they were paying even more. They were paying like double what we were paying.
So coming to France, we were nervous. We didn't know what the healthcare system was like. But it turns out it's a lot better deal than...
Well, we knew that they had socialized medicine, but it wasn't 100%. Health cover through the government is free, and that generally pays about 70%. Then what people normally get, they get top-up insurance, which is from a mutuelle, and that's an important word. So you get top-up insurance depending on how much coverage you want, and like for instance, when we go to get a prescription, there's no copay. It's just free. When you go to the doctor, you get 100% of it back. You know, the whole thing.
Right.
You pay up front and then you get it back.
Now that's with the mutuelle. I think most French people do have a mutuelle.
Oh, yeah.
And there are different varying degrees of the
Right.
mutuelle, how much coverage you actually want.
It wasn't that long after we moved here that we had to look into it because our daughter was in the hospital. So she was in the hospital, obviously, you know, being billed. And the mutuelle knew that, but it didn't affect what we were going to pay because they treat it just like insurance from your work. You know, they don't need to know your health. It's a group plan where some people are healthier than others, but it all comes out in the wash. In the US, I think they penalize you for being ill, but if you're not ill, they still make a bunch of money off you. Turn it way down and make it cheap, you know?
We opted for the most coverage we could get because
Right.
we knew our daughter would potentially be hospitalized again, and we didn't want to have to pay for that. So we did the 100% coverage.
Well,
What is it called?
It's even more than that. It's a lot of the amounts are reimbursed more than 100% because I'm sure everyone knows that, like for instance, my tooth, when you go to get something done, there's an allowed rate, you know, and then they pay a percentage of that. So the allowed rate for a crown, a ceramic crown, not a metal one.
I really would like a gold tooth on you. I mean, is that possible?
The allowed rate was 120 euros. So the government will pay 70% of that, but the whole cost is 600 something euros. And then I looked at our mutuelle coverage, and for that, they cover 400%. So they take the 120, multiply it by 4, and they'll pay up to 480. So, I mean, I'll probably still end up having to pay a little bit, but it might be 100.
100 euros for a new tooth. So it is a lot different than in the U.S.
Well, I think the main difference, healthcare in the U.S. is for profit.
Yes.
The companies that, I mean, even if they're nonprofits, they're still for profit. They're trying to make money. And here it's more about just coming out even, you know? What people pay you is how much you end up paying out. Mm-hmm. And if it comes out as a wash, great. That's perfect, you know? Trying to make money on the whole situation.
Exactly.
It's a different attitude.
Poor Lincoln. I'm going to have to cut you,
Yeah.
Cut your segment short so you don't have to speak.
I said our daughter was already in the hospital, so we got billed for, the few days she had been there. And it wasn't inexpensive. But then starting from that day, it was free. It's less than $400 per month for the whole family.
And it allows us access to private hospitals. You get a private room. It's not perfect here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately in our area and a lot of areas in France.
In more rural areas, there can be shortages of certain kinds of doctors. And we had trouble trying to find a regular dentist just because all the ones around us weren't taking new patients.
Right. We have an excellent dentist's office right across from our vet, and we're at the vet, almost every day.
But they're not taking new patients.
And they're not taking new patients.
So you just have to find one who is.
This office isn't too far away that you're going to,
right.
and then we can use them from now on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like who you know and where you go. It's like our primary care doctor. We were referred by our lovely neighbor.
Right, and I don't think she was officially taking new patients. That's more of a rural problem.
I think
like
so.
Being in Paris, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we're not so rural, you know what
No,
I'm
we're
saying?
not. It's just there aren't any huge cities around us.
I think what the government's been doing, I think new students out of medical school,
I think they're trying to get people.
they're sending them
Yeah.
to these areas that aren't covered by.
It's part of the deal for them paying for your medical school.
Exactly.
You spend a certain amount of time in, preferably a place you're from.
Yeah. And we've had excellent health care.
I mean, even when I was in the hospital coming up on 3 years ago, I was there for almost a week, and they were worried that I might have a blood clot. First thing, they didn't have to get approval. Okay, MRI, had CAT scans of my whole body.
I was surprised how thorough they were. They kept you for an entire week. They're like, no, we need to finish these tests and make sure you're okay.
You don't have that other influence, I guess. It's up to the doctor to decide, basically.
You're not beholden to the insurance company like it is in the United States.
And that whole week in the hospital was completely free.
It's such a difference here. It upsets me that people in the U.S. can actually lose their homes having medical debt.
Well, I know someone who bought a house that was being sold because it had been foreclosed because of medical bills.
Yeah, living here is different. The house is quiet.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we waited on demo, kids were here and it gets more complicated because I need to be turning off the water often, and
There's dust, there's loud noises. They both study from home.
yep.
We kind of felt like it wasn't that fair to them. For our sanity, our collective sanity, I guess. It's going to be much easier with just the two of us.
I was in New York City and bravely attempted the walk from school to Central Park, which felt okay for about 3 minutes, and then I was done. The brutally cold weather completely sabotaged my plans to revisit and film my old teenage stomping grounds in Greenwich Village. But with the temperatures hovering around 15 degrees, I admitted defeat and drove back to Connecticut. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and if you have something to say, leave us a comment.